Hi everyone, I'm Derrick. Today I'm going to talk about build and deploy Gen AI application on Google Cloud. So I work for a company called DoiT. So I have been working remotely for 4 years. So today I feel I have a bit of a fear socializing. So bear with me if my voice is a bit shaking. So I work as a senior cloud architect at DoiT, and I'm one of the GDEs, developer expert for Google Cloud. And I'm also authorized trainer. Normally when I do training, it's in front of a computer, and then people joining remotely. So I guess I'm more used to that environment. And I have a few Google certificates, and here they are. Okay, so let's have a bit of warm up. I'm not sure if that's gonna work. Okay, of course, audio won't work. So basically, the thing I want to show you is that Gen AI can do a lot of stuff. So Devin already showed that it can do text to audio, audio to text, and text generation. And if you follow the latest news, you can see companies like OpenAI, they release Sora, which is very good at generating videos. And also Gemini as well is very good at generating videos and recognizing the videos and get all the information from that. That's one of the power of Gen AI. Okay. And people using Gen AI models to generate images. So these are one of the funny ones that I found. Mountain Dew. I don't know if you guys drink that, but this is what the AI model think about how to produce Mountain Dew. I try to harvest that from somewhere and then put in a container, I guess. And if you are on Gemini, previously known as Bard, if you are on the advanced premium plan, you can generate images like that. So this is what I generated yesterday. Of course, you can ask a question about how to call Gemini API from Flutter, which is the next talk Susie will be talking about. I'm not gonna talk about what's after this. And also, I don't know if you guys saw the memes like this. So basically, from the left-hand side, you can see AI turns a bullet point into a long email. And then on the other side, people try to use the email to summarize to the bullet points. So that's the power of Gen AI. Basically, my wife is using that because we were originally from China. English is always our second language. So we spend tons of time writing emails. Nowadays, what we do is we write down the bullet points exactly like what the left side doing. Okay. Also, on the right-hand side, you can see a picture of Elon Musk, a different version. So this was generated by Gemini. And then I don't know if you guys follow the news, because Google try to do a lot of good things, but sometimes you do good things, you have bad outcome. So this is one of the examples because they want to, I don't know how to talk about this, but they want to generate images that represent the minority or people with color. So that's how they think Elon Musk looks like. So Google is working on fixing that. Okay, final TD agenda. So today I'm going to talk about Gen AI very quickly, and then Gen AI and AI products on Google Cloud, because I understand that a lot of you may be not using Google Cloud. So this is my chance to sell Google Cloud to you. And after that, I have 3 demos. I hope I get time to cover most of them. And I have some closing and Q&A after that. So here's the start. So this is a paper. I read a lot of paper in the past year. Like I'm not a guy who loves reading papers, but for the past year, I try to follow the trend because I don't know if you follow blockchain when it comes out. I didn't, because I didn't think it's a thing. And here people keep making new kind of crypto coins and then becomes like a thing. I was sort of waiting for it to become more like a very popular, and there's some kind of really useful things. I don't know if there are people who love cryptos, don't judge me on that. So this is one of the paper which released a thing called Transformer. So that's the foundation of all the Gen AI stuff right now, including GPT-4. So this is what Google comes out, and they release to the public. And after that, companies like OpenAI started to find out ways to use GPUs to train the models. So what is Gen AI? So underlying, you can see a lot of things like neural networks happening. So I don't know if we have people who are actually working on machine learning stuff. But if you don't worry, because I didn't work on machine learning stuff 2 years ago. So I'm not worried about that. And there are many different Gen AI models. You can do text to text. So one of the examples that you can do is that you can throw in a very long paper, and then they generate all the bullet points for you. Or you can throw in the bullet point, they generate email for you. And you can do text to image, which I showed just now. You can also do image to text. You can do text to speech or speech to text. You can do video as well. So on Google Cloud, there are lots of products. Even before this ChatGPT and the whole Gen AI wave, you can do a lot of stuff already for AI on Google Cloud. So previously, what people doing, like in the factories, they use Cloud Vision API to detect defects in certain parts in the factory. They use Cloud Translation API, Natural Language API, text to speech, speech to text, and video as well. So Google Cloud has a lot of offerings on top of big data and machine learning and AI. So right from the left, you have the ingestion and process. So from there, you can do streaming, you can do batching, everything in there. The end goal is that you get the data onto the cloud, into a storage. So on storage, you have cloud storage, similar to S3 or Azure storage. And you have Cloud SQL. Those are running for Postgres, MySQL. And you have Spanner, which is a very popular distributed relational database, and also analytical as well. So my favorite products on this map is BigQuery. So if you haven't used BigQuery before, think about it's a serverless data warehouse where you can just throw some data in and you can write SQL, you can get some output from there. And it has a free tier, so you can feel free to have a try. And also on the right-hand side, there are lots of machine learning products, like Devin mentioned about Vertex AI. So Vertex AI currently it's more like a big umbrella of all the AI products on Google Cloud. And you have Workbench, which if you use Jupyter Notebook, that's where you can start your instance. And then you can run TensorFlow, Document AI, Contact Center AI, everything. And lately, because of the whole Gen AI wave, Google started to sort of restructure and put everything on top of their offering. You can see at the bottom, they have very big kind of infrastructure powered by GPU and TPUs. If you don't know TPU is a special chip that Google created called Tensor Processing Unit. And then on top of that, Google is one of the cloud vendors that has its own foundation models. I can talk about foundation model later. So not too many kind of company can do this. So you can see the pioneer right now is OpenAI, but Google is very close to the race. And then on top of that, you can see Vertex AI is an end-to-end machine learning platform. And Devin mentioned about the model garden. That's where you can run both Google foundational models and open source models such as Llama. So recently Google released their own open source model called Gemma. And then on top of that, Google built a solution, which is more like for people who prefer to build no-code products. You can use Vertex AI search and conversation. And then one layer on top, which is Contact Center AI, which is what you do when you call an insurance company, they put in a call, maybe behind the scenes is Contact Center AI. They have built also the healthcare AI as well. That's more for the healthcare industry. And then on top of that, there are two things all called DoiT AI at the very beginning. So on the right-hand side is DoiT AI for Google Cloud. So it's a combination of, let's say, GitHub Copilot plus, what's the other one? Amazon Q. So it's like everything gathered together. The only goal is to help you to deploy and manage your things on Google Cloud. On the left-hand side, you have DoiT AI for Google Workspace, now renamed to be Gemini for Google Workspace. I can talk about that later. And then here is the model garden. So when I prepared this slide, there wasn't Gemma, which was released last week. So basically, it's a very, what we call this a small large language model. Sounds a bit interesting because it doesn't have a very big, what you call it, training tokens, but it can perform very well, which I can, if I have time, I can show you. It works in my laptop. And you can see from the bottom, Google can run open source models in Model Garden. It can run its own models as well, and also can run a foundational model. So what's foundational model, you may ask? So foundational model is the models that are trained by lots of data. So you can find data maybe from the internet, from Twitter. By the way, I don't know if you noticed, but Twitter started to block all the traffic without login. So that's one way, because previously all the companies started to grab the data from Twitter, from Reddit to train their model. So once the model is trained, it's called a foundational model. So it doesn't specialize on anything. So it can do basic Q&A, like type of chat. If you want to go to a specialized area, there are multiple ways to do that, which I'm going to cover in my demo. Yeah, so previously Google has a model called PaLM. So it's PaLM 2 API. So you can do text, can do chat and embedding, which I'm going to talk about embedding later. And then Cody is to help you to generate a code. Imagen is to generate an image. And lately they have Gemini. They have what we call this medical LM. So again, for the medical and healthcare industry. Okay, now I think I need to sort of clarify a bit about Gemini, because when people are talking about Gemini, there are multiple stuff, which sometimes a bit confusing. So Gemini is a model. So it's a model name. You can call it as a model name because there are 3 types models: Gemini Ultra, Gemini Pro, and Nano. So what we use the most right now is the Pro version. And if you are onto the Gemini Chat premium version, you get to use the Ultra version 1.0. If you are lucky, get into the waitlist, you go to that 1.5 version, which is 1 million token context. So basically, I would say the demo that I did doesn't really make sense if that thing becomes popular and cheap. Because what you can do is that, let's think about something that your company has let's say, a knowledge-based website. There are hundreds of pages. You can literally throw all the pages into the model while you ask the question. And also Gemini can mean bot, because it used to be called bot. Now they renamed that to Gemini. So just think about the context every time you talk about Gemini. And then the next one is called Gemini for Google Workspace. That happened last week. And I wasn't happy with how they sort of naming and mesh up stuff. But if you get it clear, so that's all the stuff currently. I'm sure they will add more Gemini stuff. Okay, so enough talk. Let's do a demo. So when we talk about the foundational model, it was trained for all the text and data you can find around the world. It doesn't specialize anything. And also it has a cut window. Basically, the Gemini version that you are using was trained, I think, last November or October. I can't remember. So basically, anything happened, all the news happens after that, it doesn't know, right? So that's one of the gotchas that you may encounter when you are using large language model, because there's always a cutoff date, because the training take days, a month. So what you need to do, you can do fine tuning. Basically, you provide additional context to the model, and then this will becomes an additional layer on top of the model. So this model becomes fine-tuned, means you can answer specific question. So one use case is that you can use your FAQ page on your website. Maybe you have hundreds of questions. You just fine-tune the model using those questions. Then that model can become your, let's say, a chatbot rely on. And how to do that? Basically, you need data. You need a very good quality data, because when the model was trained, lots of data comes in. There are data from anywhere, from Reddit, maybe not very high quality. Some from maybe Quora, maybe slightly higher quality. So models can perform differently if the training data set is different. So in this case, what we need to do, the example that I prepared is called supervised tuning. So basically, I create input and output for the model, and then just tell the model to train. So after the training, it takes a few hours, depends on how many GPUs you have, and it will attach to the model. So the format that you prepare is called JSON lines. So basically, one line is one JSON. You have input text and output text. I can show you the example. And after that, you fill in on the console, Google Cloud Console, you can just type in all the information, and then you can train that. Also, you can create this job via the Google Vertex AI SDK. It can be in different language, or CLI, or RESTful. So from here, I'm going to switch to the model itself. So as of today, you cannot train Gemini Pro on Vertex AI. You cannot train that, but you can train the previous version, which is the text Bison. So the question I ask for for this model is that what is Gemini and what can you do? That's the model, a foundational model without fine tuning. The answer is very funny, I would say. It's Google Gemini is a data management platform, allow advertiser to collect. I don't know what is that, but to me, it doesn't really do the thing. So what I do in there is that I prepare a Gemini .json line. Basically in here, you can see I have the input text, I have the output text. Basically, I tell the model what I really know, and then this can be the knowledge for the model after the fine tuning. So the tuning process looks like this. So basically what you do, you just go in and then go to the Vertex AI and you go to the language model, and then you have the tuning here. So this was a model that I tuned yesterday. And the pipeline looks like this. So behind the scene, Google spin up a serverless pipeline where it grab all the information from the training data and then try to run stuff and then wrap everything into the model. So after that, it looks like this. So this is the model that I tuned. You can see in here. So this time I will ask the same question. Hopefully it will give me the correct answer. So now this time it knows it's a large language model. This is one way to train that, to let the model to know the new knowledge. If I go back to the slides, there's another way to let the model know the new knowledge. It's called retrieval augmented generation. So in short, it's called RAG. When you talk to people about RAG, that's the RAG. Why RAG? Same limitation of large language model. It has a cutoff date. It doesn't really know your domain knowledge. And there's another thing which is very important. Who can pronounce this right? hallucinations. Yeah, so what does this mean? Means that, I don't know if you use any kind of chatbot, such as ChatGPT, such as Gemini. I once asked Gemini a question about, give me a Google Cloud command to do something. And it gave me a thing which I think looks very good. And then I try to run it, and then the command doesn't exist. How could this happen? Because the way large language model is that working is that it always try to predict the next possible character. And it can be different. Sometimes because it's always a game of odds, right? So when some character got chosen, it just generated that. It doesn't really verify. That's why we need a thing called grounding. So grounding, when you're talking about grounding for large language model, is that when large language model give you an answer, it provides the source of that. So if you are using Gemini or you are using, let's say, Bing Chat, it will give you the reference. So I think the future search engine will be like this. So basically, the future version, that's my thinking, will be like using GenAI to grab all the relevant information and then summarize. So RAG is just a technique to do that. And how to do that? So basically, you have a bunch of documentation. You want to load it into a storage called vector store. What you have to do is that, because sometimes when you have like 100 pages of PDF file, it's too big for some models. So you have to split. Basically, cut it into small chunks and then convert it into embedding. So embedding looks like this. So they are a lot of numbers. That's called a vector. And all you have to do to store it. And then once you try to retrieve that, it works like this. The question you're going to ask will convert into the embedding as well, using the same vector to query the vector database for the similar content. And then once you finish that, it will convert into the text. And then you use that as a context to ask large language model to summarize an answer. And then a very popular open source tool called LangChain. I'm going to use that to demonstrate this. So the data source I use is Flutter documentation. Hopefully, hopefully it doesn't. It will work. So basically, what I use is a Flutter. So it is, if I extend that, it's this one. So I never wrote any single line of code of Flutter. I don't know if the answer is correct or not. But basically, what I did was I tried to use the sitemap in here to get all the URLs from this website and then try to get the information out of it. So in here, I use a workbench, which is basically a Jupyter notebook. And it looks like this once you log in. So I won't go through each line. I have a GitHub repo as well, if you want to take a look. So all the 3 demos code are all in here. So you just search my name, Derrick Qin, GitHub, you will find me. So from here, what I do is that I specify my Google Cloud project, a bunch of constants, and then I just give the sitemap of that. So if you want to, if you're interested in how it looks like this. So after that, I started to, by the way, I put a bit of a thing about embedding. If you wanted to know what is embedding, this is the embedding of Stack Overflow. So someone generating all the embedding for Stack Overflow, you can see what's the popular topics in there. I was very surprised to see a lot of kind of install Apache, which was maybe olden days. A lot of HTML, JavaScript, Angular as well. So I'm using the Vertex embedding in here. I'm using BigQuery as a vector store, which was released last week, which I just try to use this as an opportunity to learn. But because it's new, it has a bug, so I had to patch one of the code, which I just inherited from the base class and then try to fix the thing. And then finally, I have the vector store. And then what I did is, remember the whole rack process, you have to load the content into the vector store. This is how I do it. So I use Beautiful Soup, which is a library where you can parse XML. And then once I get that, I get all the URLs of this website. There are hundreds of them. After that, I started to load this document. But a document, a website can be, one page can be really long. I started to chuck them into small chunks. And then after that, I created embedding for each one of the small chunk and then stored into BigQuery. So once it's stored into BigQuery, it looks like this. So basically, I have a document ID, I have the metadata, which is the URL of that. I have the actual content, and then text embedding. So that's a lot of embeddings. So this is what storage looks like. And then after that, I started to play with this. So basically, I asked a question about what is Flutter. And then I use the BigQuery store to do a similarity search. So that's all the content it provides to me. So basically, one of the small chunk of the document is all in here. And then this is how I use the vector store to get the answer. So you can see I have a template. So basically, this is called a prompt engineering. So if you are not familiar with that, just search deeplearning.ai. There's a short course for that. I highly recommend. So basically, I tell this model just saying, you're going to read the context. And then you want to answer the question, you use only this context. And then I want it to show the source. So once it generates, I ask a different question. It's called how to debug, remote debug Flutter app, which I don't know. I don't know if anybody knows Flutter, can verify if that's true or not. So this is how it works in a notebook environment. Because every time you develop an application for large language model, I highly recommend to use notebook as a start, because you can do a lot of debuggings very easily. You can run the code line by line. But once you finish that, you're going to make it deploy to production. And Devin also mentioned about Cloud Run, which I'm going to show you how easy to do that. So in my code, basically what I have is I use a library called Streamlit. I don't know if anybody heard of this, because I'm never a front-end engineer, so I can't write good code in JavaScript. That's why I rely on tools like this. So it's a Python framework which can generate a UI for data apps. So basically what I have is I have all these libraries. I patch this thing again because it was released last week, so quite new. So I accept it has bugs. And then I have the same code. You can see same code from the Jupyter Notebook. And then I have the template. The only thing different is that in here, I use Streamlit to create the application. So basically, this application will have the title, and then it will have a form. The form will be asking a question, how to debug Flutter. And then there's a submit button. I call large language model to retrieve context from my vector store. In this case, is BigQuery, and summarize everything. So that's how it works. And because I want to deploy to Cloud Run, I need a Docker file. So Docker file is quite easy for this one, because I just need a Python 3.10, and then I will just install all the requirements and then spin up the Streamlit. So the deployment is like this. So I deployed this today. So how it works. So I just authorize myself as a Google Cloud CLI, set up my project, DoiT sandbox, and then I just go to my my folder. What I do is only 3 words: gcloud run deploy. What it does is it will ask me which region I want to deploy. In this case, I select number 12, which is Melbourne. And after that, I want to, those are other stuff that you just need to do yes, yes, because behind the scene, you will build a Docker image, you will deploy. So that's how it works. So I only write one command and everything deployed. After that, it gave me a link. So that's the link of my app. So it looks like this. So basically, as I said, I'm not good at front-end, but this thing provides an interface that I think is all right. Not that fancy, but it's all right. The important bit is that behind the scene, you will call the large language model. So if I do submit, hopefully this time it will give me some good answer, because sometimes it doesn't. And as you can see, it's sort of loading, because BigQuery, if you want to use BigQuery as the vector store, just use it as a test, not a production. Just FYI, because it's not a what we call this. It's just an analytical data store. It's very slow. Okay, the answer is this. I don't know if that's good or not, but this is how it works for the RAG. Cool. That's the RAG. Hopefully I have time to cover one more. Okay, last demo I want to do is chatbot. So I don't know how many of you use chatbot when you are claiming insurance claim, or you are talking to a bank. Every time you ask a question, sorry, I don't understand. It's very typical until you type something like talk to a human. It will redirect you to the human, hopefully after 30 minutes. So one of the benefits for large language model is that it can really understand human language. So if I can name one thing a large language model is good at, it's actually NLP, natural language processing. It's very good at understanding that. So think about you type a typo in your question, you will understand. So currently on the market, the chatbot that you are using are quite kind of dumb. Is that the right word? I don't know. But it has very limited understanding of the human language, because behind the scene, it just match a bunch of keywords, and then it has a setup flow. If you don't do that flow, you won't understand. And also, it doesn't have a human touch. You feel like talking to the bot. It is a bot. What Gen AI can bring? Natural language understanding, more human-like, more intelligent, and most importantly, it can direct the user to the right flow. I think that's the thing that can save us some time. So the demo I want to use is I use a service called Dialogflow CX. So that's a product on GCP. It's a chatbot. So basically, a lot of companies are using chatbot. Some of them are using Dialogflow. And let's see what a Gen AI can bring to the chatbot. So I have prepared two bots. One is the traditional one, which I call it a little bit dumb, which I can demo. So basically, this is how you create a this is an interface that you can create a chat. Basically, you have pages, you have flows, you have intent, you have everything. What you do, you just do test agent. So behind the scene, what it does, it will talk, you will go through all the intents and try to understand what you say and gather information. So in this case, I just say hi. Yeah, hi is very normal. You just say, how can I assist, right? Because the hi match one of the keywords. Because I don't know this bot, I just say, what can you do? Okay, I don't do typo. What can you do? It doesn't understand. It says one more time. I don't want to do one more time. Because if you look at the actual things, this one is trying to direct you to book a diving session. You can say, where can I dive? Okay, sorry, I type it something in here. I think it doesn't recognize. Where can I dive? Hopefully this time you understand me. Still doesn't understand me. So that means I failed to go to the preset flow. But with the Gen AI ready, so in this one, I'm gonna switch to the GenAI ready version. Same thing, but enable the GenAI, which I'm gonna show you what I did after. So basically I do hi, we'll do the same greeting. I say, what can I do? What can you do? Because I don't know what the bot can do. Okay. So you can see that's a little Gemini icon, I guess. So basically it will try to tell me what can you do? Because for a lot of chatbots, they have like a bunch of preset flows. You always have to sneak into that flow until everything can work. But with the GenAI, you can direct you to that. So basically, I would say, just say I want to dive in, let's say Mexico. This time, I will do a typo. You can recognize. You see that little icon? That means it's not the normal flow. It still can understand me. And then I say, how many traveler? I say 10. And then travel, can you tell me more about the travel details? So that would direct me to the normal flow, okay? So now I'm gonna show you how it works behind the scene. So in the agent setting, there's a GenAI feature which was released not too long ago. And then there's a thing called generated fallback. So basically you just tell the chatbot and you give chatbot a prompt. So the chatbot can know what it will do. And then it will route you to the right flow. So that's how the chatbot can be improved. So hopefully next time when you're talking to a bank chatbot or insurance chatbot, they have this thing ready. It will save you some time to wait for like 2 hours to talk to a human. Back to the slides again. So I'm excited. How can I start? So a lot of you maybe haven't used large language model, at least not in the API format or in the application format. What you can do is that you can access Google's large language model in a few ways. So on the top side, the top part is Google AI Studio. That's a consumer product. Basically, you can use Gemini Pro model in there for free, as long as you don't abuse it. Basically, you don't send like thousands of requests per minute, you are good. And Google is working on a pricing plan if you do use it to build your own app. And if you are into Vertex AI and Google Cloud world, you can use Vertex AI Studio. It's a commercial product. The difference between consumer and commercial product is that for the free version of GenAI Studio, your data will be used for training purpose. So basically, you give up your data, and you get free things. But for commercial side, one of the things that I think for companies, definitely go with Vertex AI because Google can guarantee they don't use your data to train their own model. And most importantly, you can use your free credit. You haven't used that before. It's 300. You can try all sorts of things on Google Cloud. So all the things from you want to do some data analytics in BigQuery, you want to run your apps in Cloud Run, you want to try large language model, it's all in Google Cloud, it's all covered by this $300. Can do a lot of stuff. Just what I recommend to people normally is that people are saying, hey, I'm using AWS all the time, I'm using Azure all the time. I said, just have a look at GCP because it's just another cloud. Maybe next time you get a recruiter calling you, do you know GCP? You said, yes, I use all the credit. Bang, you know some of the stuff, right? And that's it for the talk. Any questions?
have one. So for the first demo example, for what's called, you go back up
Yeah.
that slide.
Yeah. Fine tuning, yeah.
Yes. The demo that you provided was, so first you showed the Vertex AI, which didn't give the answer you want.
Yeah.
For the fine tuning that you used,
Yeah.
it's essentially a bunch of questions and answers that
Yeah.
are hard coded.
Yeah.
If you are going to hard code it that way, then what benefit are you then having for using AI? Can't you just create a very neat chatbot if you're going to hard code questions and answers?
Yeah. So I don't know how many of you are experience on search engine. So search engine is one of the things that you can query, you send the answer, send the question, and then you get the answer. So often when you send a question, people won't ask a question like this. People were using different language. So basically, the benefit of a fine tuning is that you tell the model of your own domain knowledge, and then the model started to know your domain knowledge. And then when people ask questions in any way, it will understand. So that's the benefit of using the fine tuning. And I don't know if you notice in here, there's a temperature thing. So if I set up into a slightly higher value, it will be more creative. So basically, you won't answer the same training data, not this one, not the same training data that I send in here, you will try to rephrase it. So basically make it more human touch. Yeah. Any more questions?
Did it cost anything for fine tuning? And how much, it cost?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I recorded somewhere. Is 75 USD. Yeah. So there's always a bit of a kind of a economic way of running large language model, because like what I said, the Gemini Ultra 1.5 can take 1 million token as the context. Basically, you can throw a movie in, and then just it will tell you what a movie is about. But you can imagine how much compute power behind the scene to process those kind of things. But maybe in reality, you don't need that, right? In reality, you may just need a, let's say, I haven't tried this, I haven't shown you this, but there's a thing called Olama. So maybe I can just quickly. I think I need to start a service. Anyway, but basically, you can maybe Google this Olama run Gemma. You can search that. Basically, this is a very small large language model. It only have 2 billion. It can do a lot of stuff already. So basically, it's always a balanced game. You maybe use a very large language model, which can give you very good outcome, or you use a small large language model, which will require less computing time. You can still do a lot of stuff. One of the things that a lot of us have done maybe in the past years is user submit something, you want to extract a JSON out of that. In future, don't do that by yourself, use a large language model. It will give you a very good outcome of JSON. Yeah. Or even the OCR, if you have an image, have a form, you want to get all the information, Gemini can do that. It will extract all the JSON for you. Yeah. Cool. Okay, if no question, that's it. Thank you.